They tell you forgiveness is a virtue, but in a ruthless world, it's often a weapon used against the naive. The truth is, forgiveness may ease the heart, but it disarms the mind. And in a world ruled by deception, manipulation, and silent power plays, your mind is your only true fortress. Forgiveness without caution isn't kindness, it's surrender. It tells those who betrayed you, you can hurt me again. But memory is precision. Memory is strategy. It does not rage, it calculates. The man who remembers doesn't act from emotion. He acts from analysis. He doesn't lash out, he evolves. Because the world doesn't respect the merciful, it respects the untouchable. And the only way to become untouchable is to remember, to sharpen every betrayal into clarity, to turn wounds into weapons, to carry no hatred, only data. This is not about bitterness, it's about boundaries. It's not revenge, it's preparation. And when you prepare with memory, you are never caught off guard again. Forgiveness is for those who want to be liked. But you are here to rise. And to rise, you must remember everything. Because only those who remember become impossible to defeat. The downfall of great men is rarely caused by enemies. It is caused by softness, by misplaced compassion, by the noble desire to be fair in a world that thrives on exploitation. History is littered with the ruins of empires not destroyed by force, but by forgiveness. A prince who spares the traitor teaches his court that betrayal carries no cost. A leader who prioritizes kindness over consequence invites his own undoing. Because when your enemies realize your heart will protect them more than your strategy ever will, they will test it again and again until you break. You cannot lead with sentiment in a world ruled by strategy. Mercy must be a calculated move, not a default response. The one who rises must understand, not everyone deserves a second chance. Not every enemy deserves peace. The truth is, your kindness becomes your weakness the moment it is expected. If your hands are always open, they will be filled with knives. So choose discipline over pity. Choose memory over mercy. Because the world will not mourn your downfall, it will study it. And if you fall because you are too good-hearted to act, they will not call you noble. They will call you naive. Forgiveness may soothe the soul, but it blinds the mind. In contrast, memory is the highest form of intelligence. It is awareness sharpened by experience. When you remember, you don't just carry pain, you carry patterns, you carry data, you carry truth. Every betrayal, every insult, every quiet act of disloyalty becomes part of a private archive, a vault of lessons too valuable to erase. Forgiveness tells the world you are soft, that your boundaries can be negotiated. But memory tells the world you are dangerous because you've been hurt and you've learned. The man who forgives too quickly becomes predictable. The one who remembers becomes unreadable. And in a world driven by power, unpredictability is protection. To surrender your memory is to surrender your map to survival. You give away your greatest weapon, your awareness of who they truly are. So don't erase the past to appear healed. Study it, learn from it. Build a mind so sharp, so observant, that you never fall for the same deception twice. Forgiveness may win you sympathy, but memory will win you mastery. And in the end, the one who remembers doesn't just survive. They dominate, not with vengeance, but with clarity. In the art of power, perception is everything. Let them believe you've forgiven. Let them see your calm face, your polite nod, your gracious silence. But behind that silence must be a mind that records everything. This is not hypocrisy. It is strategy. Because when people think you've moved on, they expose themselves, they speak more freely, they lower their guard. But you are watching, you are remembering, not to strike impulsively, but to strike accurately when the time is right. That is power. True strength isn't loud, it is calculated. It's in the way you write their names in your private mental ledger. Not out of bitterness, but preparation. When the moment demands it, you won't react with chaos, you'll move with precision. People fear those who smile and remember, because that kind of silence unsettles them. It forces them to look at their own reflection. So let them call you gracious. Let them kneel with trembling voices. But don't forget who they were when they thought you were weak. Forgiveness can be a mask, but memory is your weapon. And when used with patience, it will deliver justice in the most elegant, unforgettable way. Vengeance is often misunderstood. People picture fury, chaos, flames, but real vengeance, true Machiavellian vengeance, is not loud. It is not reckless. It is not rage. It is precision. It's quiet, cold, calculated. It's the decision to rise above destruction and instead become a monument they can never reach. When you act from rage, you reveal your wounds. You give them satisfaction. But when you move with discipline, when you channel your pain into progress, when your silence becomes your sharpest blade, that's when you become untouchable. The one who hurt you expects an explosion. Give them absence. Give them elegance. Succeed so silently, so strategically, that your very existence becomes a reminder of what they lost. Vengeance, at its highest form, is not about breaking them. It's about building yourself into something they can never manipulate again. That is the punishment. That is the consequence. The calm, relentless execution of your goals is what unsettles them, not your retaliation. Do not announce your return. Do not demand apology. Let your glow haunt the spaces they no longer belong to. Rage fades, but precision lasts forever. And the most powerful revenge is becoming everything they swore you'd never be. Peace is a beautiful word, but in the hands of the wrong people, it becomes a disguise for manipulation. Understand this. Peace without justice is not healing. It's postponement. It's silence forced upon the wounded so the guilty can sleep easier. When you forgive without balance, you trade your power for temporary calm. You offer closure to those who never earned it. They will call you cruel for remembering. They will beg for peace. But what they truly seek is a way to escape the consequences of their actions. And if you give it to them freely, they will repeat the offense, emboldened by your kindness. That's not peace, that's a trap. Justice doesn't mean revenge, it means correction. It means consequence. You are not here to soothe the feelings of those who betrayed you. You are here to govern your life with discipline, clarity, and integrity. So when they come with apologies, with flowers, with soft words, listen, nod, even smile if strategy demands it. But never forget, because peace without truth, but truth is submission. And submission is not strength, it's delay. In a world where betrayal is currency, your memory must become the vault. Protect it, dip it, and let justice arrive when the moment is perfect. Strength is not loud. It's not about explosive anger or public confrontation. Real strength is remembering in silence. It's standing tall with a mind sharpened by every betrayal, every wound, every lesson learned the hard way. Weak men forgive because they need to feel good. They crave peace at any cost. But strong men remember not to live in pain, but to rise above it. They don't carry bitterness, they carry intelligence. They evolve with each scar, using it as armor. When you remember, you become immune to the same trap twice. You become a fortress. Your silence, your distance, your calm presence, it all becomes unnerving to those who once underestimated you. That is the true sign of power. Being feared not because you retaliated, but because you've outgrown the battlefield. You no longer need to react. You've become untouchable. And in this world, that kind of resilience is rare and priceless. The man who remembers becomes unreadable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. He doesn't chase revenge. He becomes it. Not through destruction, but through transformation, through progress, through never needing the ones who once betrayed him. And when you reach that place, no apology can touch you, because no betrayal can reach you. Power doesn't belong to those who react. It belongs to those who record. In a world full of noise, the most dangerous person is the one who sees everything, feels everything, but says nothing, yet remembers everything. Emotional outbursts give your enemies a blueprint, but quiet observation, that's control. Every betrayal, every slight, every false smile, it's not just an offense, it's a pattern, a piece of boredom. The wise don't explode, they document. They turn every wound into a case study, because reacting means you're still controlled by the moment. But recording means you're studying it, turning pain into precision. Every insult becomes intelligence. Every lie becomes leverage. The calmest man in the room isn't weak. He's calculating. He's writing the playbook while others show their hands. You must learn to turn your mind into a vault, your experiences into strategy, your silence into unpredictability. Because the man who does not react is the man no one can read, and no one dares to cross. The world may provoke you, hoping to shake your focus. Don't give them the satisfaction. Watch, learn, record. Because when the time comes, you won't need revenge. You'll already have the advantage, and they'll never see it coming. In a world that tests you daily, your greatest weapon isn't your voice, it's your mind. And that mind must become a fortress, unshakable, disciplined, and sealed against manipulation. People will betray, lie, and deceive, but what matters is not their actions. It's how you store them. Not with bitterness, but with order. Not with but with structure. You do not need to retaliate. You do not need to confront. Let your silence speak. Let your absence become the answer. Because a fortified mind doesn't seek justice, it becomes justice. Your memory must be your gatekeeper, deciding who has access and who is denied forever. Let your discipline be your army, your composure the blade they never saw coming. You don't win wars by screaming. You win them by preparing silently. When the betrayers return, and they always do, they must find a version of you they no longer recognize. The one who once forgave is gone. The new version is guarded, refined, and unreachable. That is the power of a fortress. It's not about walls, it's about wisdom. And once your mind becomes that fortress, nothing penetrates it again. Not lies, not guilt, not apologies, just purpose, precision, and peace. Earned, not given. Forgiveness creates patterns, and patterns make you predictable. Once someone realizes you'll forgive them, they begin to calculate your softness into their strategy. They push boundaries inch by inch, testing your limits under the guise of mistakes. But here's the truth. Betrayal doesn't always arrive as a dramatic act. Often it comes slowly, quietly, through neglect, repeated excuses, and disguised disrespect. And each time you let it slide, you teach them something dangerous, that you will accept it, that you are forgettable. But when you remember, when you track the subtleties, the inconsistencies, the hidden motives, you become dangerous. Not because you attack, but because you no longer explain, no longer warn. You observe, adapt, and vanish from their reach. Your silence becomes unsettling. Your absence becomes a punishment. And the uncertainty you create is far more powerful than any confrontation. Predictability is a weakness, but a person who remembers and doesn't react, that's someone no one can read, no one can control. That is how you reclaim your power, not through forgiveness that enables, but through memory that transforms. Let others be predictable in their pity. You instead become the storm they never saw coming and the calm they can't decipher. Love does not erase patterns. Loyalty does not excuse repetition. Too often we give those closest to us a pass, believing that proximity equals purity. But betrayal hurts most when it comes wrapped in affection. The truth is, relationships, no matter how deep, are not exempt from strategy. If someone claims to love you, yet wounds you in patterns, not moments, you must respond with clarity, not emotion. Don't explain what they already know. Don't plead for change they're unwilling to make. Instead, remember, when love becomes a place where your boundaries are disrespected, it is no longer love. It is manipulation. The strongest act you can commit is not revenge, but quiet separation. Walking away not to hurt them, but to protect yourself. You are not cold for doing so. You are wasit. Because if you allow someone to repeatedly exploit your grace, you are not loving them, you are abandoning yourself. Strategy is not cruelty, it is self-respect with a spine. And in matters of the heart, silence can be more powerful than any speech. Let them wonder, let them feel your absence. Because love without respect is not love. It is a slow erosion of your soul, and that you must never allow. True revenge is not found in fury, it is found in transformation. It's not about shouting, not about proving a point, not about fire and destruction. Real revenge is mastery. It is when your success becomes so undeniable, so elevated, that it eclipses everything they tried to take from you. The person who betrayed you expected a reaction. They wanted case, drama, weakness. But when you give them silence instead, when you vanish from their reach and reappear as something greater, you deliver a justice that words could never carry. Let them watch you thrive in a world they no longer have access to. Let your distance be the sentence, your growth the verdict. You don't have to announce your healing. You don't have to post your power. Your presence, refined, quiet, and untouchable, will speak louder than any retaliation ever could. And that is what breaks them. Not your anger, but your absence. Not your rage, but your rise. Because when you choose mastery over madness, you win every time. Not for vengeance, but for freedom. Not to destroy them, but to build a life where they no longer matter. That right there, that is power. That is revenge redefined. Pain is inevitable, but repetition is a choice. If someone wounds you once, it's an experience. If they wound you twice, it's a pattern, and that pattern exists because you allowed it. The strongest people aren't the ones who never get hurt. They're the ones who learn so deeply from their pain that it never finds the same way in again. Every betrayal, every lie, every moment you were underestimated is a map, showing you where your boundaries were too soft, where your instincts were silenced, where your loyalty overpowered your logic. Never let the same knife cut you twice. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Study the betrayal, understand how it happened, why it happened, and more importantly, how you let it happen. Because once you understand your role in it, you become untouchable. That's not bitterness, that's evolution. Real strength isn't loud revenge, it's refined awareness. The next time someone tries to come close with empty apologies or familiar manipulations, you'll smile, not with softness, but with certainty. The version of you that allowed the wound no longer exists. And that is the ultimate power, not just surviving betrayal, but becoming immune to it. Forgiveness is often celebrated as a moral high ground, but in the realm of power, it's soft currency. It soothes the ego, signals virtue, and wins applause from the crowd. But memory is something far more formidable. It's not about sentiment, it's about structure. Cold, calculated, deliberate control. Forgiveness tells the world you've moved on. Memory tells the world you're watching. Not out of spite, but out of strategy. You don't hold grudges. Grudges are chaotic. You hold files, records, observations. Every betrayal becomes a case study. You don't relive the pain, you analyze it. Because power is not built by forgiving those who exploited you. It is built by studying them so they never exploit you again. Memory sharpens your instincts. It gives your silence weight. It allows you to smile in the face of liars, not because you trust them, but because you already know who they are. When others ask why you're so guarded, understand. It's usually the guilty who fear your walls. So let them mislabel your clarity as cruelty. Let them be disturbed by your calm. Because memory, weaponized with purpose, is the quiet force that turns survivors into rulers. And in the end, rulers remember everything. Legacy is not born from softness. It is not carved through apologies, nor built on the fragile foundation of forgiveness handed out to those who never earned it. A lasting legacy is etched in memory, sharp, unwavering, unshakable. The world doesn't remember who forgave the most. It remembers who rose above betrayal without ever bowing to it. You weren't made to be palatable. You weren't built to be reshaped by every scar. You were made to become a monument, to rise from ashes, not with pity, but with power. Forgiveness may make you feel noble, but memory turns you into a force. Every betrayal you survived, a brick. Every night you spent in silence, processing your pain, a blueprint. Legacy demands structure, not surrender. Discipline, not denial. In the end, the names that echo through history are not the ones who forgave easily, but the ones who transformed their suffering into strategy. You do not owe the world your mercy. You owe yourself the kind of clarity that prevents your story from repeating. So remember it all, not to suffer, but to build. Because what you build from memory will outlive the noise of apologies. That is how you become unforgettable. In life, not everyone who hurts you deserves a second chance, and not every wound needs to be forgiven to be healed. One of the most powerful lessons we can apply is this: you don't need to forgive to move on. You need to remember to never repeat. This isn't about holding grudges. It's about building clarity, boundaries, and emotional discipline. Every betrayal is a lesson. Every offense is data. When you start viewing your past through the lens of strategy instead of suffering, you stop being a victim and start becoming the architect of your future. In a world that often rewards those who appear kind, it's easy to be guilted into forgiveness. But strength doesn't lie in forgetting. It lies in learning. Forgive if it serves you. Remember always, be kind but not blind. Be calm but not passive. And most importantly, build a mind so disciplined, so self-aware, that no one can manipulate you twice. That's how you reclaim power. That's how you win quietly. Because in the end, the strongest people are not the ones who forget. They're the ones who evolve. And evolution always begins with memory.